We wanted to denounce the housing crisis here today. We think the consequences are terrifying. We don't want tenants to become ghosts in their neighborhoods.
Montrealers from Park Extension are protesting against the increase in gentrification of the neighborhood. Just days before Quebec presents its economic update, Park-Exers demanding social housing.
The rents have doubled. In some cases, they have tripled here in Park-Ex.
We're going with the haunted house theme because these buildings are sitting haunted while tenants are being forced out. So we're here to demand that the Quebec government invest immediately in social housing and to do it as soon as possible.
According to a McKinsey report for Centraide released in May, providing for all low-income households in Greater Montreal would require about 266,000 new subsidized housing units. The GMA has only added about 1,400 social housing units a year since 1995. The effects of that, along with gentrification, are now being felt deeply in low-income neighborhoods like Montreal's Park Extension.
There are resources here and networks here that help people survive, and those things are not, you can't easily find them in other neighborhoods. They can't be easily replicated. So often what we're seeing is that when people are forced out, they end up being cut off from their support networks. They end up being isolated from their friends. They end up being cut off from resources.
We know for a fact that the children's in those family that they struggle to pay the rent face like a problem in their development. So I think that's like really important to act on.
Just recently, just this summer, another friend of mine who's been living here maybe more than me, even 25 years in the neighborhood. He was kicked out. One day he called me. He said, "I'm homeless. I'm on the street. I have my stuff on the street." He was literally on the street, and he had nowhere to go.
Affordable housing is often disguised as social housing and kind of masqueraded as a solution, but it really isn't. It's not calculated as a percentage of tenants' revenue, but rather of the market rate. And in most cases, it just ends up being way too expensive for the vast majority of tenants in Park-Ex who are struggling to find a place to live and who are being forced out of the neighborhood. That's why we think the funding needs to be specifically for social and community housing if it's actually going to allow people to live in dignified conditions here in the neighborhood.
In Montreal, Brittany Henriques, City News.